My name is Mia, and I am 33 years old. I work as a florist in a small shop in the middle of the city. I love flowers because they remind me of hope, beauty, and love. But for the longest time, I felt like my own love story had ended, leaving only pain behind. When I was 23, I met someone who changed my life. His name was Alex. He was kind, funny, and full of life. We met by accident at a bookshop. I was reaching for a book on the top shelf, and he offered to help me. From that moment, we started talking, and soon we couldn't stop. Alex and I had a perfect relationship. We laughed, we dreamed, and we planned our future together. We talked about traveling the world, buying a small house, and building a life full of love. But life had other plans for us. Alex was a soldier. One day, he told me he had been called for a mission overseas. I still remember the day he left. We stood at the train station, holding hands. "I'll be back before you know it," he said with a smile. I tried to smile back, but my heart was breaking. "Promise me you'll stay safe," I whispered. "I promise, Mia," he said, kissing my forehead. And then he was gone. At first, Alex wrote letters. They came every week, filled with stories about the places he visited and how much he missed me. But one day the letters stopped. I waited for weeks, then months, but there was no news. I contacted his family, but they didn't know much either. All they said was that Alex's team had been sent on a dangerous mission and that no one had heard from him since. I was devastated. I cried for days, unable to believe that the man I loved was gone. I held on to hope for as long as I could, but as the years passed, I had to accept the truth. Alex wasn't coming back. It took me a long time to rebuild my life. I threw myself into my work at the flower shop, creating beautiful arrangements for weddings, anniversaries, and other celebrations. Each bouquet felt like a small piece of happiness that I could share with others, even when my own heart felt empty. My friends encouraged me to date again, but it never felt right. No one could replace Alex. He was my first love, my soulmate, and I couldn't imagine being with anyone else. By the time I turned 33, I had accepted that some love stories don't have happy endings. I still thought about Alex every day, wondering what happened to him and wishing I could see him one more time. One rainy afternoon, I was closing the flower shop when the bell above the door rang. I turned around, ready to tell the customer we were closed, but the words froze in my throat. Standing in the doorway, soaking wet from the rain, was Alex. For a moment, I thought I was imagining things. It had been 10 years since I last saw him, but his face was the same. His warm brown eyes, his gentle smile. "Mia," he said softly, his voice trembling. "Alex?" I whispered, my heart racing. He nodded, stepping closer. "It's me." I couldn't believe it. Tears filled my eyes as I ran to him, wrapping my arms around him. "I thought I lost you forever," I cried. "I'm so sorry, Mia," he said, holding me tightly. "I never stopped thinking about you." Over coffee, Alex told me what had happened. His mission had taken a terrible turn, and his team was caught in a dangerous situation. He was injured and taken to a remote hospital where he spent months recovering. By the time he was well enough to return, so much time had passed that he didn't know how to find me. "I tried to write to you, but I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me after all these years," he said. "I was afraid you had moved on." I shook my head. "I never stopped loving you, Alex. I waited for you, even when I thought you were gone." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm here now, Mia, and I'm never leaving again." The days that followed felt like a dream. Alex and I spent hours talking, catching up on everything we had missed. He told me about his travels, his struggles, and how he had finally found the courage to come back to me. I shared my own journey of healing and how I had kept him in my heart all these years. It wasn't easy at first. We had both changed in many ways, and there were moments of doubt and fear. But the love we shared was still strong, and it guided us through every challenge. One evening, as we walked through the park where we used to spend time together, Alex stopped and turned to me. "Mia," he said, "I made a promise to you before I left, and I intend to keep it. I promised I'd come back, and now I'm here. Will you let me stay by your side forever?" Tears filled my eyes as I nodded. "Yes, Alex. Forever." Alex and I decided to start fresh. We moved into a small house just outside the city where we could build the life we had always dreamed of. We planted a garden filled with flowers, a symbol of the hope and love that had brought us back together. Every day, I was reminded of how lucky I was to have Alex back in my life. He had been through so much, yet his heart was still full of love. And for the first time in years, I felt complete. Some love stories face impossible odds, but true love has a way of finding its way back. Alex and I proved that even when everything seems lost, love can survive. He came back when I thought I lost him forever, and now we have a second chance to create the happy ending we always dreamed of.